Hi, I'm Tom Scioli, author of I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And in the show notes below, there's a pre-order link where you can pre-order I Am Stan, which will be coming out in September. And Saturday, May 6th is Free Comic Book Day, and there will be a Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan. It'll be a comic book length excerpt of the book available in comic book stores on Free Comic Book Day. Ask your local retailer to set aside a copy for you. I'll be making an appearance on Free Comic Book Day at Phantom of the Attic Comics Oakland in Pittsburgh. I'll be there from 1:30 till 4, and I hope to see you there. We're up to issue 4 of Frank Miller and Jim Lee's All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder, with help by Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair. I don't know if I've ever seen the cover, the Frank Miller cover for this issue, but like the Superman symbol that ended the previous issue, like the R symbol, the Robin symbol that ended issue 2, we get another sort of like symbolic splash page, a symbolic page of the Batman logo catching fire, that things are getting really bad right now. Batman is on fire, but burning alive. He's not doing himself any favors. Things are bad. And we have, what an opener. We get the death of Vicky Vale, and this sort of glamorous person. Think about what was going on in issue 1 when she first shows up. Now she's in her death throes. Her eyes are bulging out and flatlining. So that's the end of Vicky Vale. Oh hell, oh hell. And now here we are in hell. Batman and Robin are now underwater. We saw in the previous issue the Batmobile can drive, it can destroy, it can fly, and it can also turn into a submarine and go underwater. And now this Batman is steering it straight for a wall of rock. Heads up, we're about to crash into some pretty fierce rock. I mean, it could make us completely dead. You don't know anything. Hologram off. Without a moment's delay, sir. This happens in the second issue of Jack Kirby's Jimmy Olsen run. Similar thing happens. Sort of driving into a cliff wall and it being just a facade as they tear through in the Whiz Wagon, which is not too different from this souped up Batmobile. And so they're in the water, they're starting to surface. Dick Grayson, the boy who will be Robin, he can't believe what he sees. It doesn't end. Now, what's he talking about it? What doesn't end? The Batcave. It just doesn't end. You could take out a city with all those weapons. The cave goes on forever. So wow, a triple page spread becomes a quadruple page spread. I don't have enough room here to show all of this, but I can only zoom out so much, but it just keeps going and going, becomes a quintuple page spread, becomes a sextuple page spread. This is about as far as I can zoom out. Look at what we're looking at. Just kind of goes on forever. No one's ever attempted anything like this in comics before, as far as I know. Kirby had the double page spread, and then Steranko did a quadruple page spread where you'd have to buy 2 copies of the comic in order to see the whole thing. Miller and Lee do a sextuple page spread. Sex, okay, I get it. They could have stopped at like the triple or like around the triple or maybe the quadruple, and you would have been fine. I feel like this is excessive. I feel like it doesn't have to be excessive, but and I know that part of the point is to be excessive. A recurring theme in talking about this series is that it's excessive. Sequences go on for a really long time. The violence is excessive. The dialogue is excessive, but that's part of the plan. And the excess can be really effective. And you can do comics that are lean and mean, or you can kind of take your time and let the thing unspool. And there's a lot of different ways to do things. So I think being excessive is part of the plan. And I think this was designed to be excessive. And I think like around this time, we had seen Jeff Darrow, a sometime collaborator with Frank Miller. We'd seen Jeff Darrow do with Shaolin Cowboy, do like excessive violence, but then also excessive, he would do these like long drawn out scenes where page after page of just sort of the camera panning around at all the different desperados that Shaolin Cowboy is going to have to fight, or more recently, just like this like never ending, 100-page long sequence of Shaolin Cowboy swinging a stick around with two chainsaws attached to it, just mowing down zombies in excruciating detail, just page after page after page. So I think Miller is going for something like that, something like what Jeff Darrow was doing, going for this sort of excess. The thing is, just the execution I find here is lacking. It is a beautiful drawing, and it is drawn beautifully, and the depth is amazing. And then the accuracy is great too, because on the next page we get, a shot of this scene from a different angle. And it's like everything lines up, like Miller and Lee had like really thought it through. I'm assuming, mostly Jim Lee. I'm assuming, Frank is sort of creating in broad strokes, and then Jim Lee is the guy who has to like sit down and actually like figure out how all this stuff goes together. Jim Lee and sort of that like, Image Comics generation, like if you watch their like instructional videos and stuff, they emphasize like creating the illusion of 3D, creating the illusion of depth within a two-dimensional medium, within a piece of paper. And so that's sort of like baked into their approach, but I think it's like a bad idea here. I mean, it's good to have a certain amount of depth, but with a 6-page wide thing, I think what you want to do is emphasize the length and make your eye sort of go across and back and forth. I don't think you want to draw the eye to the center or a little left of center and make them go deep. I think that's a misuse. I think the interesting stuff in this panel ends about halfway through. It ends like right about here. You could have gotten away with 3. Nothing of any interest really happens from here on, and certainly not in this last panel. Like, I feel like, maybe have these Batmobiles and Batplanes and Batcopters, which to me are like, and the dinosaur are sort of the points of greatest interest. Instead of just having them here where your eye just kind of stops here and doesn't really want to go any further, you even have a barrier to your eye continuing this way. Again, you got extreme foreground stuff, but it's like this stuff is all so interesting, and I don't really care about having this suit of armor in the extreme foreground blocking my view and just, very uninteresting, and also blocking something I kind of want to look at, this, the building of the Dark Knight Returns Batmobile. I feel like you should maybe have the Batmobiles and Batplanes going like, oh, here's a Batmobile. Wait, there's the 1950s Batmobile. Oh, there's the 80s Frank Miller one. Oh, there's the Batcopter. There's like, give your eye a reason to go here. I feel like, what do I need with the rest of this? Take these suits of armor and stick them in the background. Maybe put them up here and let me look at them, and then have like other cool stuff for me to look at here. This is just like a big waste of space right here. Like this to here, it's just a missed opportunity. And again, it's no big deal. I'm just saying, this could have been a couple more pages of something that was interesting instead of just this, pretty much a waste of our time from here on. There's nothing A for effort, but you're not trying to knock us on our ass with drawing technique. You're supposed to knock us on our ass with spectacle and with audacity and be like, oh, wow, look at all that cool stuff. So like, it got me talking. It got me a little bit worked up. So mission accomplished. This is a provocative comic, and it provoked a reaction from me. I don't think it's any worse without this. I take that out of there. I don't think I've done this comic really any damage. I'm fine with it. And it, you're not missing anything. I'm a comics creator. It's a lesson to learn, and I'm learning the lesson. It's like, if you're going to do a sextuple page spread, make every one of those pieces count. Don't make it peak by page 3. If it peaks by page 3, you've blown it. You want to have some really mind-blowing reveal in that last little bit of real estate. You don't want the last cool reveal to be like right around here. So, and Dick Grayson notes that this Batcave is building itself. So that answers a question that a lot of people have asked about, the sort of logic of Batman. They've asked the question, like, he's got a ton of money, But how do two guys, how does Batman and Robin and maybe Alfred, how do they build all these cars and all this equipment in this cave, just the two of them? And the answer is, without like bringing in a bunch of contractors who now know, what Batman's up to. And the answer is Bruce Wayne has a bunch of robotics tech that is sort of self-driven and just kind of is building this thing, and then to the point where it can build itself. So pretty cool sci-fi idea. I like it. And now we can zoom back in. So this was kind of the joke of the era, like in the early 2000s, of repeating the same panel multiple times as sort of like a visual gag or a gimmick. And it's like, yes, Dick Grayson is gobsmacked. He cannot believe his eyes. He's in like the biggest cave he's ever seen, and it's filled with electronics and equipment, and and it's super noisy, and everything's just like building itself, and he's seeing robotic dinosaurs, cool cars, helicopters, armor, everything, and he just can't believe his eyes. Pretty cool, huh? What do you say, Junior? Is this cool or what? And then he kind of pulls himself together. Yeah, I guess it's okay. I mean, I've seen better, but I guess this is okay. Too cool for school. I don't think I like this kid. Not one bit. But he's got a smile. He's got a smile as he's saying this. Welcome home, Dick Grayson. So like I said, we have this, top-down angle of what we saw in the double-page spread. And yeah, it lines up. Jim Lee knows what he's doing. He figured it out. I'd be okay if you fudged this stuff. I'm okay if like the details are wrong, if like the perspective doesn't line up, if it's at the expense of showmanship. And I just felt like the showmanship was lacking in that 6-page spread. If you're doing a 6-page spread, jumps out of the Batmobile. Batman has a call from Alfred. Keep it quick. Sir, it's about Miss Vale. There's been a terrible accident. It doesn't look good, sir. So she's not dead, but she's not doing great either. Batman says, call Eckhart in Paris. Get him there. He can do anything. Eckhart's an interesting choice of name because, in a Batman thing, the name Eckhart, I just think of, hey, Eckhart, think about the future. I don't know if that's deliberate or if Frank doesn't give a shit. I mean, his Batman is the definitive Batman, predates and, blows the doors off of the Tim Burton Batman, as much as I am a fan of the Tim Burton stuff. So he can take the name Eckhart and do whatever he wants with it. Paris? Sir, he'd never get there in time. Batman has a little ace up his sleeve. That's right, Kent. You're busted. I know who you are. And you've got no idea who I am. Damn. When we last saw Superman, it sure looked like he was ready to, burn Batman alive, but he doesn't know how to get to him. He may be stronger, he may be faster, but Batman's smarter. Batman knows all his deep, dark, dirty secrets and is using them to extort him to make Superman just another tool in his utility belt, and he's sending him running across the ocean to go fetch this surgeon who can save Vicky Vale. A really great stroke, really great storytelling stroke. I love it. I love how he's making this ocean liner kind of rock as he runs past. I love the, walking on water symbolism, the sort of audacity of that. Superman as a Christ figure. He's got some more back and forth with Dick Grayson, and, he's remembering, his own similar experience of watching his parents die in front of his eyes. We get a little more, of his like sort of backstory, that he'd sort of had his eye on recruiting Dick Grayson before, maybe when he gets older, but fate intervened, and when his parents were killed, he had to bring him into the war early, the same way he, seeing himself, reflected. And I'll see you later. Where are you going? Work. And he cracks his knuckles, goes off. Leaves Dick Grayson in this big, cold, spooky cave. Tells him, if you get hungry, eat a rat, eat a bat. Batman, reenacting the torture he put himself through as a child, inflicting it on a new generation. I think there's like a quote in one of these Batman Frank Miller comics, Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Strikes Again, or something. One of them where like Batman says, to Robin, or he says about Robin that that Dick Grayson was his biggest failure. So I don't think, I think we're seeing Batman making a lot of mistakes here, making a lot of young rookie mistakes that are gonna, have repercussions, throughout this sort of, Batman myth cycle that Frank Miller's devoted, a large part of his career, a large part of his life to building. We might not be done yet. Frank Miller might have a couple more Batman projects in him. We'll have to wait and see. And so now Superman zipping back with the car on top, zipping back across the ocean. The first time we ever saw Superman on the cover of Action Comics #1, he was carrying a car. So he's doing it again and carrying that surgeon across. So what's the story on Jocko Boy, officer? Batman's cracking skulls. It's all rigged. He walks tomorrow. Lack of evidence. That's all I know. Thanks. Crunch. There's something rotten in the city of Gotham. This sort of, police conspiracy that Dick Grayson's parents were the victim of, and Batman's trying to get to the bottom of it, and so he's doing it his way, cracking heads. And then Dick Grayson wakes up, and instead of wearing his blood-stained circus costume, he's wearing silk pajamas. He's got a blanket and pillows and things, and he's got a gourmet meal in front of him, or at least it seems that way. It's brought on a silver tray. He opens it up. It's a bacon cheeseburger with fries. I'm in heaven. Batman's yelling at him. Alfred, you're messing with my training. What the hell do you think you're doing, Alfred? That boy will not be reduced to eating rats, sir. I was. You chose your time below, living like a rat yourself. You chose this life, and it has chosen him. Sir, I am your butler. I am your aide. I am your medic. I am not, however, your slave. Unhand me. Alfred just told me to go take a flying leap. This little brat is going to ruin everything. To be continued. So there you have it. Frank Miller and Jim Lee, they have a story to tell here. I'm on board. Some of the things going on in it, I'm not quite sure what to make of. That's a valid storytelling technique. Having a character act in a way that is completely unexpected. I mean, that's basically been the DC Comics strategy going back to the 40s, where you have these covers where it's like, why is Superman standing on his head and juggling banana splits with his feet? Find out inside. It's like that's the hook. And that's the hook here. And you're starting to maybe see, as crazy as all this stuff is, you're starting to see, well, maybe there is some kind of methodology to what Batman's doing. I'm still not sure about it. It still seems pretty crazy to me, but maybe. And again, that's another thing in storytelling. If you can get somebody, if you have a destination you want to take the reader to that is a really outlandish destination, and if you can get them there, through, this crazy road that you have to take, what an amazing accomplishment. And so I respect and admire the audacity of this work, and there's a lot to enjoy here. The only way you could really say for sure if it's a piece of shit or a work of genius is to see how it all washes out at the end. How can you really judge a story until it comes to an end? And this one never got an end. And like so much of superhero comics history, we get these stories that don't really have an end. So who knows? But I'm enjoying the ride. I'm extremely curious to see what happens next. As decompressed as this story is, as much as sequences go on for a really long time, sort of sloppy editing, you could call it. A lot does happen in each issue, and a lot of things I've never seen. You certainly can't say this isn't an original comic. It does owe a lot to previous Frank Miller works, but there are definitely things that happen on a regular basis in these issues that I've never seen anywhere before. So I'm still on board. I'm Tom Scioli, author of I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And on Saturday, Free Comic Book Day, May 6th, there will be a Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan, a comic book length excerpt of the book. Ask your local comics retailer to reserve a copy for you. And if you're in Pittsburgh, I'll be making an appearance on Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, May 6th, at Phantom of the Attic Comics in Oakland, in Pittsburgh. And I'll be there from 1:30 till 4. I hope to see you there.